Hey guys, how are you doing today? So my name is Yuliya, and I'm an Android developer at Jet.com. For those of you who do not know, Jet.com is an e-commerce company located in New York. So right before Google I/O, we launched our first multi-feature instant app, which was a huge success. So today we'd love to share with you our experience and actually provide some practical tips on how you can make your app instant. But before we actually do a deep tech dive into how to build an instant app, let's talk about why do we need instant apps and what problems they actually solve. So let's take a step back and talk about mobile evolution. And you probably remember those first built-in applications with no animation. They were already pre-installed on your devices in white and black, such as a snake game or calculators. So they were pretty boring. But anyway, these were our first mobile applications. Then we stepped into the era of mobile web. And what mobile web gave us is a lot of opportunities to browse the internet and search for the information we needed, right? So pretty awesome, but at the same time, the experience was very poor, right? So the pages were not optimized, images got cut off sometimes, the text wasn't clear, so it was a pretty painful experience. Then we stepped into the era of optimized mobile pages, and so currently most of the features that are being supported on the desktop applications also supported on mobile web pages. So pretty much simultaneously we started to enjoy our store apps. And we love our Google Play, right? There are so many applications for almost every use case in our life. We have an application. It's awesome. So we're getting a new device, we're installing an application, then we keep installing, until we run into a space issue, right? How often did it happen to you when you're in the middle of a very important process and so the download process, the installation process has actually started, and then you realize there is a memory issue, right? And you have to take a step back, look through all your media files, delete the applications. It's a very cumbersome and very annoying process, especially in 2017 when we don't have time to take care of this stuff. So this is where instant apps take place. So Instant App is a new type of application that does not require installation. So most of the stuff is already being done by the system for you. So let's talk about how Instant App works. So you can see on the launcher, I have a regular installable application, this purple icon in the center of the screen. So, and I don't want to have it anymore, right? I don't want to have installed application, I'm uninstalling it. And after an installation, we see that I don't have an installable application, but I need something new. I need a new camera. So I'm opening Chrome and I'm typing Jet camera, and you can see this gray text instant next to the URL addresses. So once I click on a URL address, what happens is just within a few seconds, Instant App is being downloaded on your device on the fly. And yeah, you didn't have to go to Google Play to install it. It's right there within a few seconds. It's so seamless, so frictionless that it's like a regular installable application, but without this overhead of installation. So when we think about Instant App, I want you to think that it's a new type of application that absorbs the benefits of both worlds. So it takes the best part from the mobile world, and it takes the best part from native applications. So if we think about mobile web, Instant Apps takes its space-friendly character and no necessity to install the device, to install the application through Google Play. But at the same time, it's a truly native application. So it has all material design stuff and navigation, native navigation that our users are so accustomed to. So when we think about Instant Apps, I want to point out that this extra overhead of installing and uninstalling an application is being handed over to the system. So you're downloading Instant App on your device, and then what happens is that it's being cached on the device as long as you're using it. But then once you stop using Instant App and the system is under memory pressure, it actually wipes off all Instant Apps or the one that has not been used in a long period of time. So you will never run into a space issue if all applications or most applications will be instant. So the system will take care of basically keeping the applications that you need at the moment and removing the ones that you don't need. Okay, so we as developers love the idea of instant apps, And probably the question that you have, does it really mean that I have to create another application, so Instant App, and to support both applications at the same time? Actually, no. So a good thing about Instant Apps is that it shares the same code base as your regular installable application. So we as developers don't really need to worry about creating another one and supporting both of them simultaneously. The same features and functionalities can work in Instant Apps and your installable application if you choose so. One of the specificities of Instant Apps is that it's a multi-module project. So I assume that most applications, and probably most of your applications, are currently one app module applications, right? Basically, you have one app module, most of the code lives there. So in Instant App world, this is anti-pattern, and most applications have to be multi-module applications. Don't worry about it so far. I'll definitely walk through all the process of how to break your application into multiple modules. So as you've seen from the demo, Instant App is a very lightweight application, right? It's being downloaded in the fly. So there are some size constraints that we have to stick to. And one of the probably scary size constraint is a size constraint of 4 megabyte size limit. And I know that most of you looking at this number and you're like, Yuliya, come on, this is 2017, our apps are like 20, 30 megabytes. That's impossible to scale your application down to a 4 megabyte size limit. And this is actually the situation where our team was when we adopted Instant Apps and started to work on it. We were super scared of this number because our installable application was 17 megabyte size limit. And yeah, believe it or not, it didn't really take much time from us to slim it down to 4 megabyte size limit. So today, definitely in the next few slides, I will share with you all the practical tips on how you can slim down the application and reach this 4 megabyte size limit. So Instant Apps are being supported on the API level 23 and above. Google works to start supporting Instant Apps on the API, on the lower level APIs. So yeah, let's see when it happens. Another specificity of Instant Apps is that they're URL responsive. So, and what I mean by that is in order to start an Instant App, you have to click on a URL address. And URL addresses is basically an entry point into your instant applications. So one of the questions that I recently got is, okay, I'm building an Instant App, and from the demo, you've seen that I launched my Instant App from Chrome, right? So the question was, how do we embed APK into a browser to launch an Instant App? So actually, Instant Apps do not have anything in common with mobile web, right? So let's walk through how it actually works under the hood. So I created a link, Instant App URL address. It's https://jet.com. And then when I click on the link, what happens is that this link is being sent to Google Play. And then Google Play Store is trying to find a matching Instant App APK. So if the Instant App APK found, then it's being downloaded on the device, and the user enjoys a delightful Instant App experience. If the Google Play Store is not able to resolve this Instant App URL address, then what happens is that this URL address is being sent over to the Android system, and Android system basically handles it like any other URL addresses. So in most cases, we will land in mobile web application. So one of the most important things that I would love to pay your attention to and basically warn you about is that when you're creating Instant App URL addresses, you have to make sure that they match with mobile web URL addresses. And why is that important? So imagine I create a very unique Instant App URL address that does not have a matching URL address on mobile web. And then I take a KitKat device and I click on a URL address that is unique for Instant App. And then just because Instant Apps are not being supported on KitKat, I will land on 404 page no found, right? Which is pretty bad experience. So this is why we need to make sure that Instant App URL addresses match with mobile web. So on the devices where Instant App is supported, the user will land on Instant App, but on the devices where Instant Apps are not supported, the user will fall back to mobile web pages. So just make sure that the URLs match with your mobile web URL addresses, if you have a website, I mean mobile web application. As you can probably guess, the place where we would declare instant app URL addresses would be manifest file, right? So for each and every activity that serves as an entry point into your application, you have to add intent filter. And basically, intent filters look like any other deep link intent filters. You need to specify scheme, you need to specify host and path prefix. Then you have to set 2 categories, browsable and default. And you have to set an action to view. A new parameter or attribute that has been added in the context of instant apps is Android order. So, and this attribute is important for the cases when you have 2 activities, and both activities will respond to the same instant app URL address. So to help the system identify which which activity will take the precedence over the other one, we have to specify Android order. So the activity with the higher order number will get launched before the other one. So there are 2 types of instant apps. There is a multi-feature instant app and there is a single feature instant app. And as you can probably guess from the image and the names, right, of instant app types, is that multi-feature instant app is focused on building independent smaller components that coexist next to each other. When we talk about single feature instant apps, they have just one building block that serves as the foundation of your application. So let's talk about each and every type in more details and talk about benefits and advantages, disadvantages. Let's start with the easiest type, which is a single feature instant app. So imagine we have a regular installable application. Most of the code lives within one module, app module. And I assume that most of your applications or most applications on Google Play Store are actually built this way. So you don't have a modularized code. And you decided to build an instant app. So the first step you need to do is you have to add a new module to your project structure or new package. So we call it a base module. Then we have to move all of the code from the app module to the base module. So currently our app module is empty. It doesn't have any source files or resources. But definitely we have to provide the dependency of the app module on the base module because most of the code is down there. Then in order to build an instant app itself, we're adding a new package, instant app module. Again, it's empty. It doesn't have any resources or source files. And then we have to provide the dependency of the instant app module on the base module. So, and that's pretty much it. So the bottom level module, right, this is where the meat of your application lives. This is where most of the stuff would exist. The top level modules, app module and instant app module, would be empty. They basically will be just responsible for building either regular installable APK or instant app APKs. But in order to establish the dependencies, right, and connections between different modules, there is some build.gradle configurations that we have to tweak. So let's look at the build.gradle file of the base module. So there is a new plugin that we have to apply, which is com.android.feature. In the Android closure of the default config, we have to specify a new attribute, base feature set to true. And this attribute is very important for cases, or I mean, not for cases, but it's always necessary in order to help our system identify that the base module is basically the source of truth in your application. So the other modules would refer to the base module in order to pull the stuff that other modules we need. And as you can see in the dependencies block, we just specify regular library dependencies that your regular application, I mean, that both regular and installable, regular and instant app applications would need. Then the build.gradle file of the app module is very light. So the app plugin is, the plugin of the application is the same. It's com.android application. But in the dependencies block, we don't need to specify library dependencies anymore. So what we do, we just tell the application the app module depends on the base module. Again, if you remember the chart, that arrow between the app module and the base module. So it's being done through a configuration implementation project. And build.gradle file of the instant app module looks very much like an app module. So the plugin is different. It's com.android.instant app, but the dependencies block is the same. So you just have to give reference to the base module. So once again, single feature instant app is a very easy, lightweight instant application. So it probably will take you a little bit less than half a day to build a single feature instant app. As you've seen from what we've done before, it's not about adding extra code, Java or Kotlin code. It's more about adding new packages and shifting some files around. But there is an issue with single feature instant app. And the issue is a 4 megabyte size limit. So just because we have one base module and there are no other basically bottom level modules, once you reach this 4 megabyte size limit within the base module, there is no space to grow. Because you cannot add extra features. Google Play Store will block you when you will try to upload your instant application with over 4 megabytes. So that's a big concern, right? Because yeah, we cannot fit everything within just base module and make sure that it's just 4 megabyte size limit. This is where multi-feature instant app comes into play. So in multi-feature instant app, what happens is instead of moving all of the code from the app module to one base module, you're actually breaking everything into smaller components, smaller modules, the so-called feature modules, and then you distribute your business logic among the feature modules. And there is no limit on how many feature modules you would add within your application. So just to give you a little bit of a context, because you can probably have a question, okay, but what is a feature module? What does it have to have? And let's look at Jet.com application. So we're an e-commerce company, we sell stuff online, and this is the features that we currently support within our instant application. So there is a PLP with a so-called product list page that provides a list of products a user is searching for. There is a PDP page that provides detailed information about a specific product. There is a cart page, basically responsible for a checkout process, and there is an order detail page. An order detail is responsible for summing up the most recently placed order. So this is all basically use cases that we currently support within instant apps, and each and every use case is basically an independent feature that is packaged into a feature module. But if you can probably guess, right, there is some still reusable components, like a networking layer. If you're using retrofit, some services that you're probably reusing among different features, or there is maybe you provide your users an opportunity to log in from different parts of your application. So login managers, analytics managers that basically penetrates the whole application. So we definitely don't want to repeat this code within feature modules, right? Nobody wants to duplicate the code. So what we do is we're building a base module. We're adding a new module, a new package to our application. And then we are providing the dependency of the feature modules to the base module. So once again, the base module is just a shared repository of the code that is shared among the second level modules, our feature modules. But if you look at the chart, we didn't really build instant apps so far. So the only thing we've done is we broke our application from one monolithic app module into feature modules and a base module. In order to build an instant application itself, we have to add a new package, instant app module, and then we have to provide the dependency of the instant app on the feature modules. And that's pretty much it. So the bottom level module is that shared repository of reusable code. The second level modules are feature modules. They don't depend on each other. They just coexist next to each other. And this is basically most of your business logic. And then the third level, or like the top level modules, the app module is responsible for building regular APK, and instant app is responsible for building instant APKs. And the top level modules are empty. There are no resources or source files. They're just responsible for the building process and like generating the build folder. So let's talk about the configuration changes that we have to do within the build.gradle files. And let's start with the build.gradle file of the app of the base module. So we have to specify a plugin, com.android.feature. So this is the same plugin we set in our single feature instant app. Then in the default config of the Android closure, we still have to specify base feature set to true. And why is that important? It's just because we have a lot of modules, right, as you've seen from the previous diagram. So we have to tell our application that base module is the source of truth. This is where other modules can refer to basically pull the information. In the dependencies block, we have to specify such configurations as feature project, and we have to include all the feature modules that our base module would basically serve as the foundation for. So again, from the example previously, you've seen that there is a PLP page or feature module, there is a PDP card and order detail page. I would love to point your, pay your attention to a new configuration application project. It's not required, but it's necessary for the cases when your current installable application supports different flavors. So if you want these flavors to be propagated to the instant apps, you have to give reference to the app module within the base module. And why is that important? As if you think about it, what's the place where we actually declare our different package names, right, for different flavors, right? It's actually set within the app module, within the build.gradle file. So the base module have to reference the app module if the instant apps wants to pull these package names and basically different flavors of your application. Build.gradle file of the feature module would have a plugin com.android.feature. In the dependencies block, you don't really need to specify anything. You just have to tell your instant app that every feature would depend on the base module. Well, if there is a dependency that is not being reused among other feature modules, then you don't need to specify it in the base module. You can specify a specific library dependency within the feature module. And then build.gradle file of the app module would have our well-known plugin com.android.application. And in the dependencies block, we just have to specify that the app module would depend on the feature modules and the base module. And build.gradle file of the instant app is very similar to the app module again. The plugin is different. It's com.android.instant app. But the dependencies block looks very much like the app module, so you just have to provide the information about your base module and your feature modules. And that's pretty much it. So we've talked about size constraints within single feature instant app, and we said that our base module has to be 4 megabyte size limits, right? So what happens within multi-feature instant app? Well, as you can probably guess, when a user clicks on a URL address, there is one feature module that is being pulled on the device. But it's being pulled together with the base module, right? Because base module can have like your networking layer, right? Or like analytics managers and stuff like this. So it's actually a combination of the base module and feature module that are being pulled when a user clicks on a URL address on the first download. When the user clicks on a second basically URL address, then the base module is not being downloaded anymore. It has been cached after the first download, and then it will be just a new feature module that is being downloaded. But the main point that I want to stress out here is that when you're building multi-feature instant apps, you have to make sure that it's a combination of the base module and feature module that altogether make and meet the requirement of 4 megabyte size limit. It's not 4 megabyte per base module and per feature module. It's 4 megabyte for the combination of those. And there's a really helpful tool that will provide a lot of information about your APK size. It's called APK Analyzer. I'm pretty sure most of you have used recently. And one of the things that I would love to point your attention to is you have to look at raw file size, not the download size, which is unfortunate because download size is, raw file size is actually larger, right, than the download size. Anyway, this is what we're given. This is what Google will look at when it will be accepting your instant application. So we've talked about slimming down the application and this 4 megabyte size limit. So let's talk about how we can actually get there, because I totally understand your concerns. This is 2017. All our applications are 20, 30, 40 megabyte size. So 4 megabyte is a pretty scary number. So the first step we have to do is review all your dependencies. So print out all the dependencies that you're pulling within your regular installable application and evaluate each of them. So a few tips here is on the official Google Docs, you can find a list of features that are not being supported in instant apps, such as notifications. So if your current installable application has notifications, then you don't really need to pull all this code and the library dependencies into your Instant app. Make sure you will rip off notifications from your Instant application. In our case, we used AppBoy SDK, so we just got rid of this within Instant apps, and we still keep it within a regular installable application. And in order to toggle this, what you want to keep within regular application and what you want to keep within installable application, you can do it through build types or flavors. And I will actually share another option to do this. Then, speaking about dependencies, look at how many crash reporting libraries you're using. At jet.com, we're very focused on the performance of the application. So we actually had 3 crash reporting libraries enabled. We had Fabric, Crashlytics, Firebase. And in reality, in their core, they do the same thing, right? You don't need 3 of them. Just remove all of them, keep 1. Please do the same for analytics or for marketing libraries. So just like evaluate all the dependencies. Try to understand which ones are important and of great necessity within your Instant application and which ones are really useless. And then enable ProGuard. We all know that ProGuard can be a pain to maintain, but within the context of Instant app, it's of huge help. It will help you to reduce your size, the size of your application tremendously. Please make sure you're shrinking your resources and start using vector durables. When I started to work on Instant apps and I opened APK Analyzer and I looked at those like 20 megabytes size of my installable application, I realized that a lot of memory is being taken by images, right? So don't use PNG, JPG, JPEGs file. Try to convert all of them into the vector durables. If you do need to use a very complex image, try to convert PNG files to WebPs, which are like usually twice X smaller than PNG files. And again, it's very easy to do that within Android Studio. Just right-click on the resource, and there will be an option to convert PNG to WebP files. So the process of building Instant app is very similar to the process of building a regular installable application, except one thing. Instead of having just one APK in Instant apps, you will have as many APKs as you have feature modules plus one APK for the base module. And as you can probably think about it, it makes sense, right? Because Instant app does not pull the whole application, the whole Instant app at once, right? It pulls several, separate APKs together with the base APK. That's why they have to be packaged and packaged separately. And then all of that is being zipped up into a zip bundle, and this is actually the result, right? This is actually the file that you have to upload to the Google Play Store, where all the evaluation of the size happens. There is a very helpful API that is provided by Instant apps, and one of the most useful methods, I think, is Instant app that takes a context. This method is very useful for cases, again, when you want to strip some features within, strip out some features from the Instant app and keep them within your regular installable application. So you can basically use it as a toggle. Is your user running in the Instant app context, or is the user running in installable application context? Another use case for this method would be to keep analytics data separate, right? You don't want to merge all your analytics for installable application and Instant app into the same bucket, right? You want to keep Instant app separately, you want to analyze the data, and then figure out, is Instant app actually bringing you a lot of value into your business? If not, then maybe you don't need to build it. Another useful method is show install prompt. And what is it used for? I always try to tell people that you don't need to strive to make your Instant app have all the features that you currently support into your regular installable application. At jet.com, we do that, but it's not a requirement. You do need to make sure that all the features from regular installable application would be supported in Instant apps. So imagine you have 15 features within your installable application. You can actually build maybe just 3 or 5 features that will be supported in your installable application. So the method show install prompt will help you to do that. It's basically a prompt right within Instant app where you can install your regular application. So I would quickly run through the problems, and I think this is the most important part because we run into a lot of crashes, into a lot of concerns when building instant apps. So the first thing that we run into is we see that the version code is specified as 0 instead of 494. And so my first intuitive thought was, okay, I need to go to the build.gradle file of the application and see whether the version code is 0 or 494. So, and the issue is that what Instant App does, although base module is the foundation of the application, currently the version code is not being propagated from the base module into the feature modules. So please make sure that that you will specify manually the version code and version name into the base, in the base module and the feature modules. Then ProGuard, Instant App is not smart enough. ProGuard is not smart enough within the context of Instant App. It actually strips out a lot of stuff. So we run into a lot of errors, no such error method or no such field name errors in the context of Instant App. So in order to solve this problem, you just have to add extra ProGuard rules within Instant Apps that are not required within installable application. Okay, now the interesting problem was resources. So you can see that the error is resources not being found. It's a toolbar, right? And so the issue with the resources in Instant App is if you define a resource within your base module, but you're using it in the feature modules, you have to make sure that you will specify the full ID of the resource. And why is that the case? Because feature modules and base module has different package names. Just because they have different package names, we have different resource packages, and in order to solve this issue, you just have to specify not just the ID that you specify in the XML file, you have to prepend it with a package name. Reusable layouts are not being supported in Instant Apps, so you have to make sure in feature modules you will get rid of merge include tags, just nest the layouts. I know this is not a perfect solution. This is how it works. Google is aware of the issue. They are trying to fix it. One of my favorite problems was Instant App is running, everything is fine, nothing is being displayed. Make sure it's secure networking, HTTPS, TLS protocols, no HTTP is required. Okay, the most important slide, benefits. So I cannot stress it enough that Instant App wasn't just an important thing for us in order to build this new type of applications. We actually gain a lot of benefits in the context of regular installable application and in terms of our business. So we reduced the size of our installable application from 17 megabytes to I think it's like 6 megabytes currently. Instant App is less than 4 megabytes. We've done a lot of modularization and cleaning up when we're building Instant App. So it's a really delightful experience currently when new Android devs join the team and everything is well packaged and well structured. Everything is basically lives independently, and there is not much that we usually do during onboarding process. The architecture of the application and project structure basically speak for themselves. In order to enable the smooth experience in Instant App, you are required to enable Smart Lock if you support account management within your Instant App, and Google Payments if you need to support checkout process. Conversion rate increased by 27%, which is incredible. Honestly, we were surprised by this number. We couldn't really believe that 27% is a real number. We thought we messed something up. And we re-enabled analytics. We added some extra libraries to basically track the data, and we were able to confirm that it's actually 27%, which is incredible. Cart size increased by 7%. And why is that? Because users are so happy and so excited about new experience. It's just so natural, so seamless and frictionless that they spend more time within Instant App and they spend more money within our application. So that's it for today. I will be around. Please ask me questions if you have, or you can basically reach me out at Twitter. And if you have some problems or issues when building Instant App, please don't hesitate to basically send me a message, and I will be more than happy to provide some guidance, share our experience, and do the stuff that you need, you need help with. Thank you.